You kept this? Dana snorted, her perfect French tip fingernail tapping my old flip phone like it was something she'd found at a garage sale. What is this, 2003? She passed it to Will, my nephew, who whistled. Wow, you could knock someone out with this thing. I didn't answer. I just reached across the table and took it back, slow and quiet. The battery cover was loose, the screen scratched, but that phone held a secret they had no idea about. If you're watching this, go ahead and hit like, maybe subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you're hearing this story from. I need to know how far the truth travels. The kitchen smelled like burnt garlic bread. Donna had forgotten it in the oven while she set up her little game. Roast the relic, she called it. Me, their auntie, laughing at my dishes, my couch, my phone, all with those soft, mean smiles. I kept one hand in my lap, gripping the fabric of my skirt, a lilac one. It still smelled faintly of the rose perfume I hadn't worn in years, his favorite. You're so sentimental, Dana giggled. You probably still have love notes from high school. I did. And I had a voicemail from October 19th, 2011. That was the night Harold didn't come home until after midnight, said he'd been at the lodge, but his voice on the message, slurred, broken, told a different story. I messed up, baby, he said. I was with her. I'm sorry. Don't delete this. I need you to know the truth. And I never did delete it, because Harold died 3 days later, a heart attack on the stairs. And the other woman? She showed up at the funeral with sunglasses and silence. No one questioned it. No one asked. Until now. I've got a story, I said, my voice too calm. I reached for the phone, flipped it open, held the speaker up. What are you actually? Dana started, but I had already pressed 7, saved messages. The little screen blinked. Message 1, October 19th. Everyone went quiet. Even the oven beeped as it turned itself off. Then Harold's voice filled the kitchen. The sound of Harold's voice, raspy, thick with whiskey, poured into the room like smoke. I messed up, baby. I messed up real bad. I can't sleep. I lied about everything. I need you to know. It was her, the whole time. Beep. Message deleted? No. Message saved. Message burned into my memory. I closed the phone, slow. Silence. Will leaned back, arms crossed, that smile gone. Dana tried to force a laugh. Okay, what was that supposed to be? Some ancient guilt trip? No, I said, folding my hands in my lap. That was your Uncle Harold, telling the truth for once in his life. The rose perfume on my skirt? It wasn't mine. It was hers. She wore it every time she came by the shop pretending she didn't know me. French roses, powdery and loud. You could smell her 3 aisles away. I turned to the corner of the living room where the old red velvet chair sat like a ghost. You remember that chair? I asked. The one none of you wanted when I offered it after Harold passed? Will nodded, uneasy. Yeah, it always felt kinda weird. That's because it wasn't mine. He bought it for her, said it was on sale, said it would match the curtains, but she picked it out. I found the receipt, tucked behind the glove box. And I kept that chair right there as a reminder. Dana wrinkled her nose. That's twisted. No, honey, I said, standing. This is twisted. Mocking a woman for what she keeps, when you've never carried a secret for more than 10 minutes. Will shifted like he wanted to say something, but the doorbell rang. 3 slow chimes. No one ever came this late. I turned to the window and felt the blood drain from my face. The silhouette on my porch was small, hunched, wearing a cream coat I hadn't seen in 11 years. She didn't knock again, just stood there in that pale coat, her gloved hand still resting on the doorframe like she belonged there. I opened it. Margot, I said. No question, just a fact, sour in my mouth. She gave a tight smile. Evening, June. The porch light flickered above us. She looked older, but not old. That kind of aging where money softens the edges, cream scarf, neatly pinned hair, and in her hands, a box, small, wooden, carved with roses. She stepped inside like she'd done it before. "I'm not here to start anything," she said softly. I needed to return this. He gave it to me, but it wasn't his to give." She placed the box on my dining table next to the salt shaker Dana had knocked over. I stared at it. The corners, the carved lid. I knew that box. "That was my grandmother's," I said. "It used to sit on the windowsill in my sewing room." Margot blinked. "I didn't know that." "No, but he did." Behind me, Dana whispered, "Wait, is this really her?" Margot glanced their way. "I remember you both, at the service. You didn't recognize me, but I saw you. I sat in the back." Will cleared his throat. "Why now?" She sighed. "Because I can't keep it. Every time I walk past it, it's like he's still lying to both of us, and I'm done living with that." I reached out, ran my fingers over the lid, the tiny crack along the left hinge. A memory bloomed. My grandmother keeping lavender buttons inside. "You kept it all these years?" I asked. "I kept everything," she said. "Every note, every lie, every apology." I looked her dead in the eye. "Then answer me one thing. The night he left, the night he called me, was he with you?" Her mouth opened, but before she could speak, her purse buzzed. She reached in, pulled out her phone. The screen lit up, and Dana gasped, because the name flashing on it wasn't a stranger. It was Lydia James, Harold's old accountant. The phone buzzed again. Lydia James. Dana backed away like the name was contagious. "Why would she be calling you?" Margot looked at me, not at them. "Because Harold made her executor of something else, something I wasn't supposed to know about either." I stiffened. "What's something else?" Margot's fingers tightened around her phone. "There's another account, a trust. He set it up 10 years ago under a business alias. Lydia only called me today because someone tried to access it." Will blinked. "Access it? Like steal from it?" She didn't say, just that it flagged movement. She wanted to confirm who I'd told, but I haven't said a word until now. I looked down at the carved box again, my grandmother's roses, warped by time. "You're telling me Harold had money squirreled away somewhere, and neither of us knew?" Margot nodded. "Enough money that Lydia's panicking." I turned to Dana. "You said someone's been trying to log into Harold's old accounts, from this house." Her eyes widened. I thought it was just junk mail. I didn't think—" "It wasn't junk," I said. "It was breadcrumbs." My knees felt weak. I pulled out a chair and sat, the vinyl cushion creaking beneath me. Then, like a thread catching on a nail, a memory snagged. Harold, 2 weeks before he died, patching the lining of his winter coat, said he'd torn it on a nail in the garage, but he'd sewn it too neatly, almost professionally, and I hadn't thought about it since. I stood up. "I need to go to the attic." Will frowned. "Why?" "Because I never threw that coat out." I didn't wait for them to follow. The stairs creaked beneath my feet, and dust bloomed in the air. My breath felt tight, the kind of tight that comes with old secrets waking up. At the top, the attic door groaned open. I stepped inside, scanning the rows of boxes, the garment bags, and there it was, on the far hook, half covered in plastic. Harold's coat. The attic felt like a closed lung, stale, heavy. I reached for Harold's coat. The wool crackled with cold, even after all these years. Dust clung to the sleeves like old grief. The scent, faint cedar, a trace of old spice, hit me like a memory I didn't want. I laid it flat across an old cedar chest and ran my fingers along the inner lining. There. A faint ridge, sloppy thread, not factory. I grabbed my sewing scissors from the old craft bin, the one labeled "Do Not Toss," and snipped gently, stitch by stitch. The seam peeled open like a secret. Inside, a tiny brass key. Smooth from age, no label, but unmistakably intentional. My breath caught. When I brought it back downstairs, Margot gasped, "Oh my God, that's it." "That's what?" I asked. "The office key, the one for the unit where he kept his files. He told me he'd cleared it out years ago. I stared at her. He had a storage unit? Of course he did, Margot said softly. Didn't you wonder where he went those Saturdays he said he was volunteering at the lodge? No, I said honestly, because I wanted to believe he was telling the truth. Dana looked between us. So what's in it now? Margot hesitated. I don't know. Last time I asked, he said he'd moved everything out. But Lydia told me the unit's still active. Will frowned. Under his name? Margot shook her head. No, that's the weird part. It's under yours, June. My mouth went dry. That's not possible, I said. It is, she replied. Because he used your name, your old ID copy. Lydia checked. She pulled a folded paper from her purse and handed it to me. The address. Hillside Secure Storage, Unit B17. And below it, the name. June Callahan. We didn't say much on the drive. Will offered to drive my car, and I let him. Margot sat up front. Dana and I shared the back seat, her perfume too sweet, the silence too thick. The storage facility was on the edge of town, behind an old strip mall where the pet store used to be. Everything looked shut down. Even the neon sign flickered like it had lost the will. Inside, the night clerk blinked at the name. B17? That unit hasn't had a visitor in at least 10 years. My hands were cold. I rubbed them together as we followed him down a concrete hallway that smelled like mothballs and rubber. Unit B17 was near the end. I fit the brass key into the lock. It turned with a soft click. The door groaned open. Dust leapt like startled birds. There wasn't much. A metal desk, a file cabinet, one wooden chair with a cracked seat, and on top of the desk, a single envelope, cream-colored, hand-addressed. June. Dana exhaled. That's his handwriting. I stepped forward. The air was still, heavy with the scent of paper and forgotten things. My fingers hovered just above the envelope. Then Dana reached out. Wait. I looked at her. What if it's not meant for you? She said. I stared at her like she'd grown a second head. It has my name on it. But what if it's some kind of setup? She said, glancing at Margot. What if it's something she was supposed to find and he just used your name? Will stepped beside her. Dana, let her read it. I didn't move. My hand was still in the air, fingers twitching like the decision itself weighed more than the letter. Then I touched the edge of the envelope. I peeled the flap open, slow. Inside, one folded page. No logo, no letterhead. Just Harold's slanted handwriting. Blue ink. Dated 2 weeks before he died. June. If you're reading this, it means I didn't get the guts to tell you while I was alive. It wasn't just the affair. That's the part everyone will focus on. But the worst of it, the real betrayal, was the lie I lived in every room of our house. Margot wasn't love. She was escape. From the pressure. From what I'd done. You always asked how I could afford that lodge donation. The car for Will, the cruise. I told you bonuses, windfalls. They weren't. They were withdrawals. The company I worked for, Pine Grove Logistics, wasn't clean. I moved money for them. I knew it. I didn't stop it. And when I left, I took a cut. I thought I'd earned it. Then I met her. When the walls started closing in, I set up the trust. It's in your name. Use it. Burn it. Donate it. It was meant to make something right. Lydia has the rest of the files. The password is below. I never deserved you. Harold. I stared at the slip of paper stapled to the bottom. J. Callahan, 1/1/27, Phoenix. My breath caught. My maiden initials. Our anniversary. Margot's face went gray. That account, she said. It's the one Lydia called me about, but she didn't say your name was attached. Dana was pale too. What? I asked her. She hesitated. I got an email from someone named Lydia James last week. I thought it was junk, But then she called, said she needed to talk to someone in the Callahan family. I didn't think it mattered. You didn't tell anyone? I said. Dana looked down. No, she whispered. Why not? Dana's voice trembled. She offered me $5,000. The room went still. To do what? I asked. To confirm your full name and birth date, and if Harold ever mentioned a password, I didn't tell her anything, I swear. Will's jaw tightened. You sure about that? Dana shot him a glare. Yes, I may be a lot of things, but I'm not a thief. I didn't answer right away. My fingers traced the edge of Harold's letter like it might still burn me. You're in debt, I said softly. She flinched. Yeah, so what? It's not illegal. No, I said, but it makes you vulnerable. Margot cleared her throat. Lydia once told me the trust might not just be money. It might be leverage. Against the people Harold worked with. She said she'd explain more if I gave her access. You didn't? I asked. No, she said, but I came close. The overhead light buzzed, flickered. Then footsteps, slow, muffled, just outside. Will froze. Did you hear that? The corridor beyond the unit door was quiet, too quiet. We turned off the light. The unit went dark except for the faint glow from the hallway's frosted window. A shadow passed. Dana held her breath. Then, 3 soft knocks. Not hard, just enough to say, I know you're in there. Will reached for the door handle, but I grabbed his arm. No, I whispered. Let me. I stepped close, pressing my hand flat against the cool metal. Who's there? A pause, then a woman's voice, low, tight. It's Lydia. Lydia James. I'm alone. Margot inhaled sharply. Dana's eyes narrowed. You expect us to believe that? I said through the door. No tricks, she said. But we don't have time. I've been trying to warn you. Someone else is moving fast. Still, I hesitated. Will whispered, Let me handle it. No, I said again. Just open it an inch. He did. Slowly. The door creaked. Lydia stood in the hallway under the flickering fluorescent light. She looked older than I remembered. Her hair thinner, her coat too big, like she'd shrunk inside it. I'm not here to hurt anyone, she said, but there's something you need to see. She held out a folder, brown, worn, marked confidential in red pen. I didn't reach for it. What's in there? I asked. Proof, she said. That someone's trying to access the trust. They've already submitted paperwork. They forged documents. I stepped back. Who? Lydia looked at me, eyes tired, scared. They signed your name, she said. Claimed you were deceased. It's already in probate review. My mouth went dry. Then tell me, I said quietly. Who forged my signature? Lydia stepped inside, shut the door softly behind her, and opened the folder. The first page hit like a punch. A death certificate. My name, my date of birth, listed deceased, 3 months ago. I stared at it. But I'm right here. Lydia nodded grimly. It was filed online, through a back channel usually used for legal name changes. Next, she showed the transfer forms. Clean, official. My signature at the bottom, except, that's not my middle initial, I whispered. Everyone leaned closer. It says June L. Callahan. I'm June E. Margot's hand flew to her mouth. And the signature, I added. It's like mine, but not. That curve on the J. Harold used to sign that way. Lydia nodded. The documents were submitted from a burner email, but it matches one Harold used back in 2012. Somebody accessed it last week. Will crossed his arms. Someone close. Or someone who knew him well, Margot added. Harold didn't let just anyone into his head. Dana stood still, too quiet. Then Margot's eyes lit up. He had a flash drive. He kept it inside a hollowed-out book. Said it was the real ledger. I saw it once. He hid it after. I blinked. What kind of book? She squinted. Something old. Red spine, gold trim, classic-looking. My heart thumped. I think I still have it. 10 minutes later, we pulled into my driveway. The porch light flickered once, then held. I rushed to the living room cabinet. Bottom drawer, old book stacked tight. My fingers curled around a red spine. I pulled, and the drawer beneath it groaned open. The book was hollowed out clean. Inside, a black flash drive sat wedged in felt. I picked it up. It was warm from the drawer, the label long worn off. Will opened his laptop on the dining table. The rest of us gathered around as he slid the drive in. A single folder appeared. Second ledger. Will clicked. Spreadsheets loaded. Dated, color-coded. Payment logs, email PDFs, transfers from accounts I didn't recognize. Some looked like regular business. Others were something else. Margot leaned in. He was moving money, not just hiding it, laundering it. Then Will froze. Here. Look at this column. I read the name aloud. Count O'Callahan. Dana's face turned sheet white. That's my maiden name, she whispered. The spreadsheet showed recurring transfers, $2,000 here, $5,500 there, every few months, starting 2 years ago. Explain, I said. Dana shook her head. I don't know. I didn't ask him for money, not like that. I folded my arms. She cracked. Okay, I was in trouble. I owed a man in Reno, gambling stuff. Harold found out and helped me cover it. I didn't ask where it came from. I thought he was just being kind. You didn't think to mention this before? I asked, voice tight. I didn't think it mattered. He said it was private. Will slammed the laptop shut. Well, now it matters. Lydia cleared her throat. There's something else. The trust. It's queued for transfer. If nothing stops it, in 48 hours it's gone. I blinked. Gone where? She looked right at me. To whoever forged your death certificate. 48 hours, Lydia repeated. That's all we've got. She spread her papers on the table. We file for an injunction. Emergency hearing. The flash drive proves the trust is under false pretenses. And I just show up and wave my ID? I asked. No, she said. You'll need to swear under oath that you're alive, that this is your name, and that Harold didn't authorize that transfer. Dana shifted. I know someone at the courthouse. Beth. She's a notary. She owes me a favor. I narrowed my eyes. I'm supposed to trust your favor? Dana swallowed. She's clean. I promise. Will looked up. We need every hour. Let's go. He started to unplug the flash drive when something caught his eye. Wait, what's this? He double-clicked a grayed-out folder. Voice. Inside, 4 audio files, all unlabeled, all dated the same week Harold died. Play 1, I said. Will hesitated, then clicked. The speaker crackled. Harold's voice filled the room, lower than I remembered, grim. I'm only recording this because Lydia said it's smart to have something off paper. He took a breath. If this ever gets out, we're all dead. Harold's voice crackled again. Everett Knox. That's the name you need to remember. We all stiffened. He runs clean, real estate, philanthropy. But the money behind it, it's poison. I helped move some of it. Only later did I realize how deep it went. Margot sat down slowly. Oh my God. Harold kept going. The trust was leverage. My silence bought with interest. But if you're hearing this, June, I didn't get out clean. If I die suddenly, don't let them make it look like a stroke or heart failure. It wasn't natural. And don't go alone. Click. The recording ended. Will opened the second file, but I stopped him. What did you mean? I asked Margot. Just now. Her voice trembled. I met him at the lodge. Tall man, white hair, very polite. Harold said he was a major donor, quiet power. Dana swallowed hard. I've seen his name on threads, forums. People say whistleblowers linked to his properties vanish. Lydia turned white. Her phone buzzed on the table. Caller ID. Everett Knox. The room held its breath. Lydia's thumb hovered over the screen. Then she looked at me. "Answer it," I said. "Put it on speaker." She did. "Ms. James," came a deep, even voice. "Everett Knox. I believe we have overlapping concerns." Lydia didn't speak. I stepped closer. "I understand there's been some confusion," he said, "about an account, about Mr. Callahan's estate. I'd like to resolve it quickly." He paused, polite as a waiter. "I can have someone pick up the ledger. No need for paperwork. No need for disruption." My jaw tightened. "And if we don't hand it over?" A beat. "Then someone else gets hurt instead." The call ended. No shouting, no threats, just ice. Margot suddenly spoke, eyes wide. "He asked Harold once, 'Do you think your wife can keep quiet?'" I thought it was about the affair. I sat down hard. Lydia pulled her phone away, fingers trembling. "We need protection. Witness protection, maybe, or at least a cop we trust." I reached for my own phone. Flipped through until I saw the name. Beau Harlan. He picked up on the second ring. "Beau? It's June. Well, I'll be June Callahan. How long's it been?" I closed my eyes, heart racing. "Beau, I think I'm being followed." Beau arrived in a dented pickup, same one he'd had when he patrolled this town in the 90s. He walked in like he still owned the badge. "Talk to me," he said, shutting the door with his boot. We laid it out. The forged death certificate, the flash drive, Harold's voice. Beau didn't blink, just nodded slow, jaw set like stone. "I've heard the name Knox," he said. "Never enough to make a case, slippery type, donates to both parties, sponsors Little League, but people vanish around him." Margot's voice wavered. "We're not safe, are we?" "No," Beau said, "but we're not helpless." He asked for a copy of everything. Will transferred the files. Lydia scribbled down names. Dana stayed unusually quiet. Then I found it. Tucked behind the last folder, an old photo. Me and Harold on our 10th anniversary. He'd written on the back in blue ink, "Not everything was a lie." It hit like a punch to the chest. I stepped outside, needed air. That's when I saw it. A car, parked 2 houses down, engine on, lights off, driver in a cap, looking our way. Beau stepped out behind me, quiet, his voice low. "We need to move. Now." Beau moved fast. "You," he pointed at me. "Take your car. Dana and Will go with you. I'll take Lydia and Margot." "Where are we going?" I asked. "Old place of mine. Cabin by the lake. No Wi-Fi. No paper trail. Just trees and time." We didn't argue. He handed me a small black revolver from his glove box. "Just in case." It felt heavy in my coat pocket. 10 minutes down the road, headlights behind us turned off. Whoever was watching, they weren't following us directly. Will watched the rear view. Dana stared at her lap. Then she whispered, "He told me not to trust her." I glanced over. "Who?" "Harold, a year before he died. We were arguing about the Reno mess. I said something about Lydia, and he said, 'If anything happens to me, don't trust the accountant.'" Will turned. "Why would he say that?" "I don't know," Dana said, "but I never forgot it." I didn't answer, just reached over and locked the glove box where the flash drive sat, wrapped in a hand towel. 40 minutes later, we turned down a gravel path lined with pine. The cabin came into view, small, crooked, dark. Beau's truck wasn't there yet. But the front door? Already cracked open. Will pulled a tire iron from the trunk. "Stay behind me." I followed with the flashlight, its beam slicing through the dark. The cabin smelled of dust and old pine, like time had folded in on itself. The furniture was covered in sheets. No lights, no hum of a fridge, just silence. Then Will stopped short. Near the fireplace, a single boot print, wet, fresh. Dana's breath caught. "Look," she whispered, pointing to the cracked window. The pane was smeared with something muddy. Someone had been watching. We moved room to room, closet, bathroom, back porch, empty. Then headlights blinked through the trees. Beau's truck. He swept in with his old shotgun and checked every window. "No tire tracks," he muttered. "Whoever it was came on foot. Probably left the moment you pulled in." I nodded and grabbed an old cookie tin from the kitchen, blue with faded roses. The flash drive slid inside perfectly. I tucked it in the woodpile behind the cabin, beneath a loose board, the scent of cedar thick in the cold air. That night, after everyone had picked a couch or corner to rest, I drifted into uneasy sleep. Then, creak. I opened my eyes. The fire was down to embers. Dana stood near the hearth, bathed in flickering orange light. Her eyes weren't on the fire. They were locked on the cookie tin. I kept still, my breath shallow. Dana moved slow, almost tiptoeing toward the hearth. She knelt beside the woodpile, her fingers grazing the edges, just inches from the tin. "Looking for something?" I said. She gasped and spun around. "Jesus! June, you scared me!" I was about to say the same. She stood, brushing her hands on her pants. "I was just making sure it was safe. That's all." I didn't answer. Didn't need to. She backed away, eyes darting toward the shadows. By sunrise, Beau had already made coffee, strong and bitter, just like old times. "We split up," he said. "Lydia and Margot head east to a UPS store. Make a clean copy of the flash drive. Deposit it in a bank box under a false name." Margot blinked. "Whose name?" "Mine," he said. "Trust me." Will and I would go south, meet Beth at the courthouse, file the injunction, show my ID, get the stop order in motion. "And me?" Dana asked. "You stay," Beau said, flat. "No distractions." She bristled. "You don't trust me." "I trust actions, not explanations." Just then, a sound, soft, deliberate. A red envelope slid under the cabin door. Beau was the first to move. He picked it up, turning it over like it might bite him. On the front, written in thick black marker, "Do not file." Beau opened the envelope with his pocket knife. Inside, one photo and a single piece of paper. The photo, me, standing alone at Harold's grave, raincoat, head bowed, taken from a distance. The note was typed. "Actions have consequences. Some are permanent." We'll let out a low whistle. "They're watching us." Beau's face darkened. "This isn't a corporate threat. This is mob code. They're not bluffing." Margot whispered, "Should we call it off?" I looked at the photo, the grainy edge of my grief. I folded it in half. "No," I said. "We keep going." Will drove us south. I sat silent for a while, watching pine trees whip past the window. "Harold wasn't all bad," I said. "He used to set my coffee out on the porch when I worked late. Small things, you know." Will nodded. "I think he was scared. Of everything." When we arrived, Beth was waiting outside the courthouse. She looked younger than I expected, barely 40, but her hands shook when she reached for my ID. "You sure about this?" she asked. "Too far in to back out," I said. She led us to the filing clerk. We filled the forms. I signed my full name. Then the clerk froze. He stared at the paper, blinked, then stood and mumbled, "One moment." He disappeared down a hallway. When he returned, 2 men followed behind him. Black suits, no courthouse badges. One of them stepped forward, expression unreadable. "Ma'am," he said, "we'll need you to come with us." The taller man held out a badge. "Federal Compliance Division." Beth narrowed her eyes. "That's not a real agency." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "It's internal." I folded my arms. "Then you won't mind if I call a lawyer." That got his attention. The men glanced at each other. "We'll return," the shorter one said. "Don't delay the process." They turned and left like ghosts. Beth leaned in. "I'll file this now, fast, before they try again." She moved like someone who'd been scared before. 15 minutes later, the injunction was sealed, time-stamped, and filed. Will and I didn't stop for coffee or gas. We just drove. Back at the cabin, the front door hung crooked, splintered at the hinges. Stay here, Will said, gripping the tire iron again. Then, Margot's voice. We're okay. We rushed in. Bo stood by the fireplace, shotgun in hand. Margot sat on the floor, shaking. Where's Lydia? I asked. Bo pointed to her phone, on the floor near the woodpile. She's gone. No shoes, no coat. Just left. I checked the cookie tin. Still there, flash drive untouched. But on top of Lydia's coat, a single, folded note. Too late. I made my choice. I stared at the fire, at the coat, at the phone. Then it hit me. The ledger, I whispered. Will turned. What? That wasn't the only copy. We sat in silence for a full minute. Then I said, she backed out. Or worse, she made a deal. Margot ran a hand through her hair. She told me once she had a backup plan, but she never said what. Bo picked up Lydia's phone. Let's see if she was sloppy. He scrolled, tapped, frowned. She has a cloud sync app. Might be something here. A folder appeared. Locked, encrypted. Silence, buyout. We all stared at it. Bo muttered, need a passcode. I looked at her lock screen again. A photo of her terrier, Jasper, and a date stitched into the dog's bandana. 918. Try Jasper Zone 919, I said. Bo typed. The folder opened. Inside, PDFs, timestamps, and one signed document. I read the header aloud. Confidential agreement of settlement and silence. Lydia's signature. The other party, a shell company, registered to one of Everett Knox's real estate holdings. Bo cursed under his breath. She took the money, Will said. She sold us out. I kept scrolling until I hit the last page, beneficiary section. One name listed beneath Lydia's. Dana Callahan. My stomach turned. I looked up, slow. Dana backed away. I didn't know. I swear. I held the phone up. Did you already know? I asked. Dana's hands trembled. I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know. Bo crossed his arms. You gave her your social? She said it was for a job lead. Some data entry gig she thought I'd be good at. It was months ago. Margot rubbed her temples. Jesus, Dana. I held up a hand. Enough. We can't waste time blaming each other. Not yet. Bo narrowed his eyes. So we keep her close. Exactly, I said. If she's lying, better we know where she is. Margot had been digging through Lydia's voicemails. Her eyes went wide. June, she whispered, you need to hear this. She hit play. Harold's voice filled the room. If you're hearing this, I'm gone, but you already know what to do. It wasn't a sweet goodbye. It was a directive, cold, final. Harold mentioned a failsafe, a code. Something Lydia would understand when the wall came down. I turned, my breath catching. The wall, I said softly. Will blinked. What wall? Our bedroom. He had something installed years ago, behind the bookshelf. I was already out the door. 15 minutes later, I stood in my bedroom, flashlight in one hand, knuckles tapping drywall, looking for hollow space, for secrets behind the paint. The hammer came down soft, just enough to crack the paint. I pried away the panel, hands shaking, heart thudding. Behind it, metal, a shallow safe built right into the studs. I tried the old locker combo Harold used for everything, his mother's birthday. Click, inside, a small flash drive, a burner phone, and an envelope sealed in wax. Written on the front, if they win. I sat on the edge of the bed, legs numb. The burner phone turned on with a green glow, only one contact in the list, E.K. Everett Knox. I didn't dare call it. Will came in quietly. What did you find? I handed him the drive. Downstairs he plugged it in. Videos, dozens. Harold, sitting in his car, recording voice memos. Meetings in dim rooms. One clip showed a man in a judge's robe, laughing with Knox. Harold's voice in one said, If this gets out, The whole game changes. Then the envelope, typed, signed, dated 3 days before his death. A full confession, meant for a news outlet. He'd even addressed it. To the Chronicle. I felt it then. Not just grief, not just fear, resolve. Then the burner buzzed in my hand. An incoming call. The screen just said, "Call." The phone rang once more, then I answered. The voice was masked, deep, mechanical. "You've gone too far, June." I said nothing. "You have 3 hours. Burn what you found, or someone you love goes quiet." Click. Bo stared at me. "We move. Now." By sundown, we were checked into a crummy motel off Route 11. Paper-thin walls, carpet that smelled like old corn chips. Bo paid cash. Will and Margot took the second flash drive to someone Bo trusted, an ex-agent with friends in legal aid. I kept Harold's letter in my coat pocket. Dana offered to help again. I told her no. "You've helped enough." She didn't argue. That night, the silence roared. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, laptop open, checked my email. One new message, no subject, no text, just a photo. My front porch. Tonight's date. The porch light was off. At the bottom step, one single red rose. My breath caught in my chest. Bo walked in. Saw the screen. I whispered, "They've been to my house." The motel clock blinked 3:07 a.m. I sat in the dark, rereading Harold's letter. Every word felt heavier now. "This doesn't end with hiding," I said. "We go public." Bo nodded. "I've got someone. Editor at the Chronicle. Owes me a favor." We agreed to meet downtown. No names, no paper trail. Will drove me in. Margot stayed behind with Bo. Before we left the car, I turned on my phone camera. "If you're watching this, I didn't run. I told the truth. And if I vanish, someone didn't want you to hear it." I hit save. The newsroom was quiet. The editor was older than I expected, glasses slipping down his nose. He read Harold's letter twice, watched the flash drive clips. When he looked up, his voice was steady. "This is war." I left him with the files. No copy, no backup. Just trust. Outside, the air felt thin. Will went to grab the car. I looked across the street and froze. Dana. Stepping into a black car, the door held open by Everett Knox himself. Just before it closed, she turned and looked right at me. I ran into the street, heart pounding. The black car turned the corner just as I reached the curb. Gone. Will grabbed my arm. "Don't. That's what they want." I stared at the pavement. She looked right at me. Back at the motel, Bo looked grim. The Chronicle's dark. Phone's down. Emails bounce back. Margot whispered, "They got to them." I pulled out my phone, opened the video I'd recorded. Then I sent it to 5 contacts: a retired reporter, my cousin Ellen, a local podcast that once covered Harold's firm. Will took a short clip from the flash drive, just one name drop, and uploaded it to a forum anonymously. By nightfall, my hands shook with adrenaline. Then the first alert came in. Breaking. Judge Henley resigns. Amid ethics questions. It had begun. Margot clutched my arm. "It's working." Then, 3 hard knocks on the motel door. I opened it slowly. Dana stood there, soaked from the rain, eyes wild. She looked at me like she hadn't slept in a week. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. "Run." Dana fell into the room, soaked and shaking. "They turned on me," she gasped. I stalled, said I needed more time. Next thing I know, they're watching my sister's house. Bo locked the door behind her. What changed? She reached into her coat and pulled out a flash drive, sealed in a plastic snack bag. I stole it. Off his assistant's tablet. They were uploading backups. I plugged it in. More files. Not just finances. Emails, voice memos, video logs. Dozens of people named. The judge was just the first domino. "This goes deeper than Harold ever guessed," Will said. I looked at Bo. We can't just leak it. We need protection. Bo nodded. I've got a guy, federal, quiet but real. He'll meet us at dawn, but it has to be in person. Where? Downtown, Civic Center, parking level C. We started packing fast. Then my phone buzzed. One voicemail. I hit play. Harold's voice, softer this time. If she came back to you, June, protect her, even if you don't understand. I turned to Dana. She didn't speak. I held out my hand. Then let's end it right.